you guys doing today? Excellent. My name is Devin Williams, and today I'm going to be talking to you about impacts of society when it comes to simulated reality. My point of view will be as a UNC Charlotte student. So as we move forward into this presentation, could I have someone go ahead and read the definition on the board? Griffin.
So simulated reality, or also known as virtual reality, is a computer-generated simulation of a three-dimensional image or environment that can be interacted with in a seemingly real or physical way by a person using special electronic equipment such as a helmet with a screen inside or gloves fitted with sensors.
Thank you so much. And just as described, it's simulated reality and virtual reality. I'm going to be using those words interchangeably throughout this presentation. But it is going to be a 3D simulation that we can interact with so long as you have the appropriate equipment, such as the Beat Saber, a man playing Beat Saber. All right, a brief timeline. So simulated reality started with the foundation of 3D modeling in 1865 with the invention of the stereoscope. As we move forward to the timeline, one thing that I found was interesting was one of the first warnings from media with a short story called Pygmalion Spectacles. Inside of this story, a man wore glasses that allowed him to peer into another world and for him to interact with that world with different people. However, there are a lot of issues that came with it, and the story didn't end so well. We move forward even more, and we see that the Sword of Damocles, the first ever VR headset, is invented. And then as we continue on, the Vital Helmet is introduced to the military. The Vital Helmet was primarily used by pilots so that way they could be able to understand what they were looking at while in the air. Eventually, we have VPO Research Incorporated, who was the first company to sell commercial VR sets. Has anyone ever seen that controller glove that you can use with the VR helmet and everything? Well, that was them, and they actually were the ones to kind of start the process in loading out VR to the rest of the public. And then finally, we had, well, not finally, but Facebook begins to buy Oculus VR company for $2 billion. This lays the foundation for the metaverse. Does anyone know or has even heard of the metaverse? Raise your hands. All right, for those who have not, the metaverse is something that Mark Zuckerberg is trying to implement where you can actually be able to see and feel not necessarily feel, but be able to interact with your friends in a social simulated environment. He also wants to implement a lot of the metaverse into not only your jobs, but also the government to make it more seamless. Only 2 years later, we see hundreds of companies developing VR. And the reason for this is because VR has a lot of potential for profit. So you have companies like not only video game companies like Microsoft or Sony, but you're also having Lowe's Home Improvement and auto dealerships and a lot of other companies who want to invest in it since it's going to create profit or generate profit. And then finally, we have Apple enters the VR market with the Apple Vision Pro. Now the problem, simulated reality can erode social interactions and our role in society by replacing genuine connections with artificial experiences. This is an issue, and right now, simulated reality has as much potential of danger as video games. However, eventually, simulated reality will become indistinguishable from our own reality, and I think that issue will be exacerbated. Now, what are the potential dangers and benefits of simulated reality becoming indistinguishable from our own reality? Well, one benefit is that it can actually help people with disabilities. One thing that I researched that I found was very interesting was that people with slow cognitive decline were able to rehabilitate themselves by using these technologies. Another thing that we can use once simulated reality is indistinguishable is more intrinsic training for any employee in any job description. Now, that means we have better military, better police, better medics, better doctors. They are able to actually have an environment that is very similar to reality and be able to make their skills more efficient. And then finally, what I feel can be a benefit, but we'll go into why it can become a negative, is the ability to experience any pleasure. Now the dangers, a larger carbon footprint. One thing that I found interesting in one of the presentations that we were introduced to was generative AI and having one question being sent into it, generating a large amount of carbon output. Well, one question is very small in comparison of creating a system that will run 24/7 that would be accessible to everyone across the globe to be able to create a reality that is indistinguishable from what we live in. Another danger will be further ideation from reality. As people spend more time into the simulated world, they're not going to be as concerned with what's going on in our real world. Then another issue would be a preference of the digital world over the physical. That kind of goes in line with the ability to experience any pleasure. And then finally, youth being negatively impacted on a large scale. Youth are already in danger when it comes to our current technology with microtransactions, scams. That issue will be exacerbated once we have this technology in our hands. Now, we have a lot of warnings from media when it comes to simulated reality becoming too much. One of my favorites is The Matrix. Has anyone here seen The Matrix? Yeah, great movie, great film. And that really goes into depth with how the robotic overlords end up taking over and putting us in machines to where they siphon energy off of us, which could be money. And with that siphoning, while we're being siphoned from, we are actually distracted inside of the simulated reality. Black Mirror has a lot of examples of simulated reality going too far, too many to really count, but I do urge you to watch it, as it does give you a picture of what the dangers could be. And then finally, Ready Player One. That's a really good movie. Has anyone seen that one? Really good movie. That goes into depth with more so how corporatism can really affect the people, especially if they have too much power and too much control without any kind of government standards. Now, books that go into it was something that I mentioned earlier, was Pygmalion Spectacles. But one that I found was very interesting was The Experience Machine. Has anyone ever heard of that book? Raise your hands. Oh, interesting, no one. Excellent. So The Experience Machine was written by a philosopher, actually. His name was Robert Nozick. Now, the idea of the experience machine is this. You can use this machine, put in any kind of experience, whatever you want. You could be a king of the old world, you could be president of Mars. But once you enter the machine, all of your memories will disappear of your actual normal self, and you will be truly in that experience. Now, in the book, Robert Nozick believes that people would actually shy away from this because his idea is that our value in the real world would have more value than the actual simulation. Now I have a little short video about simulated reality for you. Hopefully this works.
Virtual realities.
Oh, whoops. We'll go here.
Experience. However, on the flip side, VR is just as capable of leaving a lasting negative emotional impact on the user. One study had a group of participants play a video game with frightening characters in VR, while another group played the same game on a laptop. Following the gameplay, the individuals who used VR experienced a stronger level of negative emotions compared to the laptop group. So, how exactly can virtual reality have such positive and negative psychological impacts on a magnitude much greater than other forms of technology used for the same activity? Well, to answer that, you need to understand this important rule. Everything psychological is biological. Virtual reality's enhanced effects on attitudes and behaviors are a result of a psychological phenomenon called absorption. During absorption, an individual gives their complete attention to a limited set of stimuli from the environment while ignoring everything else. This difference is apparent when we examine the brain under an electroencephalogram or EEG. An EEG.
We'll go ahead and stop there. That goes more into depth with how different brain waves actually correspond with what you're feeling, and that video goes more in depth with what brain waves you're actually experiencing as you're using VR. But one thing that I want to take away from that is everything psychological is biological. Would anyone like to take a stab at what that means for them? Yes?
The things that you think that you are experiencing have an actual effect on your physical self?
Yes, exactly. So whatever we're feeling, it really does give us a biological response. Just as stated in the video, people who were playing, let's say, Five Nights at Freddy's on a laptop were not as afraid as people who were playing it through VR. But that was just the feeling of fear, and usually fear would push someone away from this technology. What about if this was a dating simulator where you could actually feel love? And would you feel that love even stronger? And would that make you want to stay in the simulation longer? Those are questions to be asked. Oh, I'm in the video. I see. All right. And so, a question I have, and I hope you all can have your mobile devices on you, is should we regulate simulated reality? And we're going to be doing a live poll to kind of gauge whether we should or not. I will give you guys a few moments to go ahead and scan the QR code, and then once we are there, I'm going to start asking some questions.
Wait, just leads to the thing. Here.
Yeah, just go to the tab and then go to the QR code. It should open you into the presentation. Stay at that screen, and then once everyone's there, we'll move on to the next one so you can start answering questions. Can I get a thumbs up of anyone who's good, who's not good? Good, 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 good. All right, it looks like most of everyone, so let's go ahead and get started. So my first question to you, would you use simulated reality if you could relive your happiest memories or create entirely new ones in a world where anything is possible? It's not showing my responses. Very interesting. I'm getting votes, but I can't see who's voting.
You have to click on it before it shows you which one.
I have to click on it? Oh, I see. I'll answer then. Sure, yes. All right. That's very interesting. So we got majority yeses over nos. Can I have two brave souls, one from yes and one from no? We'll go with yeses first. We got a yes in the back. Oh, you didn't know? Who's a yes?
So I did yes because, at least personally, something I really enjoy is sim racing.
Okay.
Which is, racing is not something that I will ever be able to experience in my life because it is just like, you know.
A lot of barriers to entry.
Yeah, a lot of barriers to entry. So sim racing really opens up that opportunity for me. And a big part of it is that a lot of people do get virtual reality headsets at some point, along with a, full sim rig with, a wheel and pedals and all sorts of, a motion rig as well.
Okay.
And, it really opens up possibilities for me that wouldn't necessarily be there otherwise.
Yeah, especially if, buying the simulator, like the actual VR set is cheaper than getting all the other stuff. Yeah, all right, that makes sense. One for no?
Yeah, so I said no because I don't think it's like a good idea to go back to your past memories. First of all, it's not as efficient because you're not actually experiencing that memory again. You're just remembering it.
That's fair.
You're not feeling exactly what you were feeling in that moment.
Okay. No, that's fair. Yep.
I like to go against what John said because honestly, if you look back at old videos or old pictures, it's kind of the same thing except you're not interacting with it, you're just viewing it.
Yeah, it creates that feeling of attachment to it. Like and sometimes when you are looking at that those pictures and stuff, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about this, and it builds that attachment even more. But okay, that's very interesting. Oh, John, you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, it's not recreating that exact same feeling that you felt in that moment. It's just creating that feeling of attachment to that old memory.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll move forward. But those are very good. Those are very, very good. All right. Next question. Would you use simulated reality to experience a dream vacation to Paris, Japan, the Bahamas? I'll go no for this one. Majority no. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. All right. So same thing. Two different people. Yes and no. We'll go with yeses first.
No.
No? Any yeses? I'll go for that guy over there. Isaac. Your name's not Isaac. Krish, there you are.
I feel like it would be cool. I mean, it costs thousands of dollars to go on these dream vacations. So if you really want to go to Japan for some reason, not for some reason, it's a great place, but you could use the simulated reality thing to kind of give it a test drive almost. And if you really like it, if you like what you see, you can probably just go there.
Yeah.
After seeing what it's like.
No, that's very interesting because you could, once it's indistinguishable, you can gauge whether or not that would be an area you would want to go to in real life. That's actually a pretty good point. Thank you. One for no. Griffin.
I think a big part of the dream vacation thing is that long period of waiting until you can finally go and experience it in person.
Okay,
So
no. Yeah, there's.
Probably a good person.
I see. So actually putting in the effort of planning the vacation and getting that kind of experience from it.
Yeah.
Okay, no, makes sense. Yeah, you have another one?
I was gonna have a rebuttal for what he said because mine, I kind of did it with VR because I wanted to go to the Northern Lights. The 360 view of the Northern Lights you can find in the Oculus VR YouTube is one of the best light shows of the Northern Lights that they have recorded. So if I were to go in person, there's no guarantee it is going to be as easy to see as what it is in that video.
Right, because you have to be at a specific spot in order to get the full view of it. Okay, that's interesting. All right, so we're going to the next question. Continue. All right, if loneliness, regret, or heartbreak weighed you down, would you seek refuge in a reality where you are always surrounded by people who understand and accept you? Let's see. Resounding no. Excellent. All right, so all right, we'll start with the no's. Can I have a volunteer from no? Who hasn't gone yet? Yes.
Perhaps you need to be in a space where people are not going to agree with you. It might help you reconsider your stance. furthermore, you can't just run away from your issues. You simply have to face them.
No, that's fair. That's very true. I think that's very integral to human growth, being able to overcome the challenges that we're faced with. Can I have a brave soul from yes? Brave soul. Brave soul. All right, no brave souls. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, last question. I wonder if this is going to have the same results as this one. Would you use simulated reality if you could see and speak to a lost loved one again, even if just for a moment, in a world where memories can be brought back to life? Let's see. Very interested. All right, this isn't as skewed. That's very interesting. All right, let's start with the yeses this time. Brave soul from yes. No yeses? All right, fair enough. We'll start with the no's then.
Do not confuse simulated reality with actual reality.
That's fair. All right, fair enough. Yes.
Devil's advocate for yes. I imagine if you used to get like a lot of advice from your parents and then they died, and if they're the people that you trust the most to inform you on like really hard decisions, then I can imagine,
Yeah, people will lean into it, especially if that's the only person in their life that they feel like they have support in, and they've tragically lost them. John in the back.
Okay, so I said no, but I'm kind of in the middle right now.
Okay, no, it's fair.
About it a little bit, for like 5 seconds, but I think it's helpful in certain situations, especially if the individual like goes through like PTSD or some sort of regret.
Yeah. That
might be therapeutic to them to see that loved one that they didn't make amends with.
Yeah.
Make amends with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like closure and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think yes to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, you're using it only for closure and being able to, like, let's say you didn't get to say "I love you" that last time to that person you do love. Adithya.
I think what John said was really interesting. I think in certain applications, say if the usage is controlled, say under a licensed professional like a therapist, I think they understand generally the effects of the psychological effects on the brain, and they can understand like maybe this is the right situation for it, maybe this isn't.
Okay. No, that's fair enough. Making sure that we actually have people who are educated in the therapeutic aspect to actually, oversee the usage of that. Okay, that makes sense. Kunal?
I want to put this thought. Remember when I said do not confuse simulated reality with actual reality, especially with this question? If you want to speak to a lost love, it's best you try to find him or her in person rather than just go use the actual the VR headsets, for instance, to see your lost loved ones, because you're not speaking with them in reality. You should speak to them inside the headsets rather than speaking to the actual person.
I think you're taking loss and thinking that we can't talk to them anymore, and more losses they've passed away and died. But I understand what you're saying. You're actually trying to find something in the real world to help you get over that versus going into the digital. Charlie, you had a question?
Yeah, so I said no, and I looking at this technology, I could see a issue brought up if it were to be brought into reality.
Yeah.
Where people who cannot get over the death of a loved one, or they need to get closure for whatever reason.
Yeah.
They could get stuck in a cycle where they repeatedly use this technology and they become dependent on it.
Yeah, that's very true. If a parent loses their lost one or their child, actually, it might be that they stay in a simulated reality to watch their child grow up, even though it's not their child. Griffin?
There is an instance similar to this I've seen where someone trained a LLM on their friend's dead text.
Wow. Interesting. Wow, I haven't heard of that. One that I have heard when it comes to simulated comes to this question was a mother trying to talk to her daughter again. The AI generated her, but unfortunately AI isn't there, so it sounded like Siri was talking to her mother. Definitely benefit. They make a lot of profit from this. And the government, well, I mean, it's going to be very easy to pull the wool over your eyes if you have that VR headset on you. Next, those are benefits. Groups that are harm society as a whole. I think every one of us here have an intrinsic value to society, and we do a lot to add value to that. If some of us are taken away from that society by VR, that's gonna not only devalue us as individuals, but also devalue society. Youth, as I've said again, I mean they are already at risk when it comes to social media and any of our current technology. So it's just going to get worse from there. And then finally, people at a low point in life, people who don't actually have the resources like friends, like family, to be able to move forward when life gets tough. Now, how do we solve a lot of these things? What are the solutions? And so one thing is enforcing a limit on how much we spend within the virtual world. That's an easy way to be able to mitigate some of those dangers. Or having this technology only used in areas that could benefit. That means we only use it for police, for military, first responders, so that way they can just get that intrinsic training. Another thing that we could do is making real-world activities more inviting by reducing costs and increasing transportation accessibility. Things cost a lot, guys. I mean, as we just said, going on a vacation costs a lot of money. If you're paying $400 for a room, you're probably paying double of that to actually enjoy the vacation. Now, another thing we could do as far as helping people at a low point is creating more infrastructure for mental health agencies to better accommodate the populace, as people experiencing hardship are more likely to use the device. I think that can't be said enough. I think we should have more infrastructure when it comes to mental health, as life's hard. It's very difficult. And then finally, designing simulations to encourage more healthy interaction than prolonged attachment, ensuring that these corporations aren't trying to make this a subscription, which probably would happen, and ensuring that they don't actually add in things that will keep us inside of the machine. Thank you guys so much.